Now, many people I see when we first start working together use the Apple Mail app inside on their mobile phone. And the Apple Mail app will do the trick. So this is the one that it looks like if you're wondering. I'm gonna bring my phone up here. So if you're wondering, the Mail app is the internal mail app inside Apple. And it's really simple to get started. What most people do is they'll kind of go into their mail and calendars and they'll set up the basic app. What most people do is they use that. I want you to instead switch to using the Gmail app. And if possible, I'd like you to switch off the standard Apple Mail app. Now, when you use the Apple Mail app, you actually miss out on a number of features that come with the Google app, like some of the archiving features. The search is definitely not as good. And you also miss out on some of the other cool Gmail features like automated responses, and they're called smart responses, which is the AI-driven email. So you also want to do the same thing with Calendar as well. And so the easiest thing to do is to basically, if you go to the App Store and you search Google, and this is obviously if you're on an iPhone, you pretty much want to pick up every app that's affiliated with Google. So you want to make sure you've got the Gmail app, you want to make sure you've got the Google Calendar app, you obviously want to make sure that you've got the Google Drive app, you want to make sure that you've got the slides, Google Docs, Google Sheets, if you make use of those, which you should be. And I'm going to take you through why you should also be using the Chat app as well. Now, Google have integrated everything into their Gmail app. So you can see here, we've got down the bottom of the Gmail app, you can see here you've actually got access to your chat, you've got access to your rooms or spaces they're now called, and you've got access to Google Meet as well. And so Google's integrated it, but a little bit later on when we get to the chat section, I'm gonna share with you why I would recommend you actually move to using the chat application as well as the Gmail app, but also in the Google Calendar app. Really important for you to have access to the Google Calendar app. You're going to get access to a number of the features of Google Calendar that you don't have available in the Apple Calendar app. So you can still synchronize your Apple Calendar app to your Google Calendar, but you'll miss out on some of the features. Now, the other reason that I recommend using these apps, and we also recommend in your on your computer using the browser-based version of Google Calendar instead of the local edition, like let's say you've got a Mac rather than using the Apple Calendar app. We also want you to use the Google web interface for Calendar as well, is because we often run into and we see synchronization issues between the different apps. So you go to put something on a calendar on your phone and it doesn't appear on your computer, or you put something on your computer and it doesn't actually go down and appear on your phone. We don't want that to happen, and so we want to make sure that you use all of the Google apps. You also, when you have the Google apps, have the option to do things like schedule an event and actually see multiple people's calendars as well, which is very useful. And so if I'm here and I want to add a few people to my event, so let's add Kriza, let's maybe add Angel from our team, and maybe Scotty as well. Cool, let's add them to the guest. When I'm using the Google Calendar, anyway, what this gives you is the option to actually see each person's schedule, and from there you'll be able to actually schedule a meeting with your colleagues at a time that works for everyone. I'm going to show you how to actually set that up and have that as a policy inside the business. So that's step one. Step one is you want to make sure that you have all of the mobile apps configured correctly, but you want to be using the Google mobile apps rather than the other apps. Now, secondary, this is my strong recommendation, is that you actually disable the notifications for the Gmail app. My belief and strong recommendation that you don't use any of the Google applications specifically for email with notifications pinging you all day long. Most people, when they've got their phone in their holder and you're trying to drive down the street and a notification pops up, what that does is it actually creates an open loop in your mind. And I describe our attention span as like having a big jar of jelly beans. And every time you've got an open loop, you've got one of your jelly beans out of your jar. And so that becomes an open loop if we leave that. And so my philosophy is we ignore those, we leave them. We don't worry about it. We choose to work with our emails at a time that suits us. So whether you schedule it, whether you check it at a certain time, that's totally fine. But ideally, you actually want to be choosing when to work on your emails and not having them pop up. So I recommend you go and switch off your notifications for Gmail completely. To do that, you just go into your settings. This is obviously on an iPhone. Settings, and then notifications. And then you just find the Gmail app. And I've just switched them off completely. I don't have any notifications at all for the Gmail app. I just leave them completely off. So I'd recommend you do that, and it's going to make your time a whole lot more peaceful.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. And if you need more help with your Google Workspace account, there's 4 ways that we can help. Number 1, join our free community group where others in the community help support each other with their Google Workspace accounts. And I'm in there from time to time answering questions as well. Number 2, take advantage of our free transfer in offer to get a bunch of additional value for your Workspace account just for transferring your billing over to itGenius. Number 3, you can take advantage of a free consultation if you qualify, or an IT systems check and audit for everything technology in your business. And number 4, if you need help right now, you can either join our concierge program or book a one-time fix-it service to get support from our professional support team for everything Workspace and the Google ecosystem. See you in the next one.